Stefan Mauk. Welcome to A-League Access. I want to start off by asking you about the FFA Cup. Adelaide had a good win against Florient Athena, but it seemed like you were, the team was struggling a little bit. They were maybe not match fit or still getting used to each other. How did you feel about the game? They had a good win though.
It was our first game, so there was quite a few of us. So myself, Goodwin, One Day, Jakobsen, a few more, I think. I can't even remember. That obviously didn't play due to injuries. And then a lot of the other players that came in were underdone. You know, they'd only trained for a week or two. So it was, I guess, a disrupted pre-season for us in that sense. And then going into that cup game, not having any games before that was pretty challenging. But I think the main thing was to get the win, and they did that. Maybe not that convincingly, but they won, and that's the main thing.
You end up going into extra time. How was the team afterwards?
Yeah, I think they were all pretty relieved to win. But I guess the encouraging thing was, because of, you know, that being our first game, to be able to play 120 minutes for a lot of them was really good. And the pitch looked very average on TV and from what they told us, and also the win. So it's one of those ones where, you know, the NPL teams are quite challenging to play when you're on their field. The conditions were like that. So I think the most important thing was they all got through uninjured and that we won.
Well, injury is the keyword, Stefan, right? You yourself had a leg injury in August. So how are you at the moment feeling? How's the rehab process going, and when can we expect you back at 100%?
Yeah, so it was something that I had actually at the start of last preseason, and I think it was the second or third week. I had a knock on my leg, which was a fracture in my fibula, and then had some time off and came back, and it was okay for the first, I reckon, 7 or 8 rounds of the A-League, and then I got another knock directly on it, and then from there it just started to get worse and worse, and they're not sure if I refractured it or whether the original fracture just never healed properly, but it was something that was pretty frustrating to play with for the entire season. And then this off season, I decided to have surgery on that just to make sure that I was all good for this year. And I'm coming along nicely. So I trained with the team today, which was great. That was my first full session with the team. And hopefully the next cup game, as long as the sports science people allow me, hopefully I'll be able to play some minutes in that game. We're not sure when it will be, but yeah, that will be my aim.
Yeah, you haven't suffered any ill effects, Stefan, after today's hit out?
Nah, just general soreness everywhere. I think, you know, you miss quite a bit of time, and that's just a normal thing. You know, you're not used to passing a ball or changing direction, so everything that you do in rehab tries to prepare you for that. But obviously the training session where it's uncontrolled is very different, and maybe I get a bit too excited.
Yeah, so you'll be stocking up on the ice and the heat pads, no doubt, over the coming days and weeks. Yeah. Look, speaking of, you've obviously had the injury, which is a real shame, and it's probably impacted on your pre-season to some extent. But surely this has been a really frustrating period, not only for yourself, but the club in general. It's been a very long pre-season because of COVID, obviously, and all of the other government regulations that have impacted on the season. What's the general feeling amongst the players? Are you guys really looking to just get on with that start, playing competitively, and just be done with the training sessions and the friendlies and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think, like I said before, we actually haven't had any friendlies to date, because in SA, the NPL's actually continued on, but we had I think it was a 2 or 3 week break when we had a COVID case here. So then they had to catch up all their games, and they've been playing midweek games for the last couple months, and they haven't wanted to play us. So hopefully in this next month, we'll actually get a few NPL teams that have either been knocked out or that are still in finals. But it's been frustrating, I think, more so for the players that have been on the field training, because, you know, they've probably had an 8-week block now and only played 1 game. We just had 5 days off for those players, and the injured boys had 3 days off. So that was a good little refresher. And I think now we know the season's, 6 weeks, I think, away. So we're all really excited for that. And if you can get some friendly games and another cup game in, I think it makes it, I guess, easier to get through the training sessions, because as players, you want to play games, and that's the most exciting bit. But we we understand there's not too much we can do about that at the moment.
Well, this cup game is against Adelaide Olympic, and it's an interesting fact that it's the first time that Adelaide United is facing the team from SA actually in the FFA Cup. So what's your expectation there? Clearly a must win, but as we've seen in the last round, it's a cup game and almost anything can happen, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think obviously, like you said, it's the first time Adelaide's played a local SA team, which is pretty strange. For I guess how many years the comp's been on for, but it's exciting. I think we'll play at a local league ground here, and I'd assume there'd be quite a big crowd out for that because you've never had it before. Adelaide United playing a competition game against an NPL team, and Adelaide Olympic, obviously the Greeks will come out for that game, and I think the atmosphere will be really good. And as players, you want to play when the crowds are there, and it means a lot more. So it'll be an exciting game.
Is that something you've missed, the crowd? Obviously, everyone's missed the crowds, but is that something you're really looking forward to, is having a good crowd turn up and cheer you on?
Yeah, it's a bit of a flat feeling when you go out for a competition game with no crowd, and you try and obviously get yourself up for the game, and you do to a certain extent, but the crowd, I believe, and the fans are really what make football so great. I was watching Manchester City Liverpool the other day, and you hear the crowd before the game starts, and you get goosebumps, and you're looking around, and that as a spectator is so exciting. So when you're out there playing, it makes it that much better, and I guess when you do something well, but I guess on the other end, when you do something poorly as well, because the crowd does get into you. But that's why we play the game. It's the excitement of it, and you want the fans to feel the emotions that we feel, I guess. Yeah,
Stefan, you're a one-team town, but it's an honour for you. You're the club skipper. You're Adelaide born and raised. How does that sort of sit with you? Are you honoured? Is it a burden, perhaps? I mean, what are your general feelings about being the skipper in a team that's the only representative in the A-League?
No, I think for me, it is a real big honour. I grew up watching Adelaide from when I can remember, I guess, when they first came into the competition, and I always wanted to play for Adelaide United. In my head, in the backyard, I'd always be visualising it and pretending to be the players, and looking up to captains gone by. Travis Dodd was probably one for me that I loved watching him play, and then to represent Adelaide United when I finally did, and to win a championship was, I thought, I guess, was the best thing that could happen. But probably the next best thing would be to be the captain and be able to do that. So that's a big aim of mine for the team, and being able to lead this group of players, which we have so many South Australian players, is really exciting, and so many young players looking to, I guess, do similar to what I did and win the A-League at a young age is really exciting for me. Of course, it comes with extra responsibility and challenges, but that's all part of, I guess, growing as a player and probably becoming more of a leader, which the club has obviously found in me, and I'm excited, I guess, in the second season of what I can do to help the other players out, hopefully, and lead by example continuously.
Yeah, that premiership that you won as a young player, what did that do for your career, Stefan?
Yeah, it was massive. I think that was on the back of that I got called into the Socceroos and got to move over to Holland. So, you understand the older you get, it's harder to win things. That happened, I guess, not easy, but it was, at 20 years of age, it didn't seem like it was going to be too hard. And then obviously you go through a lot of ups and downs along the way. But when you're winning, players will get picked into national teams, whether it's under 20s, 23s, first teams, or you'll get moves overseas, because if you're winning, you must be part of a good team. And then they start to look at who's doing well. So it's a massive factor for players to enhance their careers, but also for the club to continuously grow and get more fans on board. So it's a win-win for everyone.
And in that context, I mean, Carl Wirt, of course, he's the boss, the coach, right? But you have seen a few coaches in your life already. How important is it that you have a coach there that actually has played in Adelaide and has some roots in that club?
Yeah, I believe that's probably I know that was one of the big criteria for them when they were looking for a new coach. And obviously Carl took over in the hub and he did really well. But then part of their criteria was that they wanted someone from South Australia, ideally. That was their first preference, and he ticked those boxes. He's played for the club, obviously being born in South Australia. He understands what it's like for the fans, but he's also coached a lot of the junior players in the NPC program here. So he can develop young players. He knows what it's like. And I think that's a massive tick for the club and for Cole to be able to connect with the fans, because he's a very passionate person and a very passionate player when he played for the club. So we I guess want to do the same when we go out there, and we're not just representing, you know, our name on the back, but we're actually representing all the people in the stadium and everyone in the stadium.
Yeah, Stefan, the squad appears to be a lot stronger than last year, even though you had a terrific season making the finals. Club legend Isaias has returned. George Blackwood has come back from England. You've also picked up Nick Ansell from Melbourne Victory. So on paper, it appears to be a much stronger squad than last year.
Yeah, I think so. I think we've probably got a little bit more depth in the team, and also the younger players that were there last year are a year older and a year more mature and better for it. And hopefully they're going to be pushing the likes of, you know, myself, Isaias, Goodwin, Halloran to play over us. We are not guaranteed to play, and these younger players should be trying to push us as much as possible. And if they don't play, then it raises the standard of training. So it's an exciting time, I believe, for us, and we have the capabilities to go further than what we did last year. It's really just up to us as players to, I guess, you know, take the information on board from the coaches and to implement that. And you saw last year we went, I think it was on a 6 or 7 game winning streak, and that was when we were at our best. The problem was we were a little bit inconsistent last season. So if we can keep working hard and to make sure that our best is obviously very good, and, you know, when we're not playing at our best, that we don't drop too much like, you know, the Melbourne Cities and Sydney FCs of the last couple of seasons.
Now, from on the pitch, the successful football player, off the pitch, the successful entrepreneur, Stefan Mauk, right? So you're very active in terms of presenting to clubs in SA, and the background is that the PFA, the Professional Football Association, has teamed up with you, called the Inner Club Journal. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it was something that I guess I've always been interested in, I guess, business or, you know, other ways that I could not just make money, but I guess stimulate myself off the field. It's been a passion of mine. And probably as a player, I've always looked for ways to improve myself, you know, the physical, mental, whatever it was. And I understood that the biggest thing for me was, you know, my best performances were great. My worst weren't up to scratch. And it was really down to me getting inside my own head and not really having coping mechanisms for that. And as a player, you train in the gym, you train on the field, but we do very little with our mind. And I felt that was an area that I needed to work on. And just over the years, I started to accumulate all this different information of what I thought was best for myself to play at my best, and understanding, you know, what my best game looks like, what my worst game looks like, and what I'm doing well when I'm playing my best. And, you know, evaluating myself, setting goals, scheduling my day, something very basic, but by clearing my mind of everything else and just focusing when I'm at training would allow me to be more present when I was there. So I felt like I'd got all this information, and I know that if it's me thinking like this, there must be other athletes. So I decided in COVID just to have a crack at the business, not knowing how well it was going to go. And I've just passed 12 months, and the amount obviously that I've done with selling to individuals, but getting involved with some clubs here in South Australia to present now, and schools has been a really good thing for me to give back. And then also now partnering with the Players Union, where hopefully all players will be given access to a journal if they're interested. And if I can help, you know, individuals with their careers on the field and off the field, then I'll feel pretty happy about myself.
You also did, sorry, George.
No, go ahead. Sorry, yep.
You also did a Zoom call with some young kids. I know that Moreland Zebras here, Brunswick Zebras here in Victoria were hooked up with you to have a chat and Q&A. Is that an important part of your role as a footballer, to be, you know, as an ambassador for the game, to connect with young kids and mentor them and just steer them in the right direction if that's the path they want to go?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's something that we try and do as a club, but it's sometimes hard to, you know, I guess with the timelines of getting the club to okay it with me, and then the internal club as well. It's very challenging. So being an individual trying to do it makes it a lot easier. And I think having the journals allows the clubs to reach out to me, or if I can reach out to them through a contact, it makes it a lot easier. And I feel as if, if I can pass on, some small messages of, what I felt like I wish I knew when I was younger, but also to let them know that these are the challenges that are going to be ahead of you if you do want to be a professional footballer, and these are some ways to cope with it a little bit better than what I did. I think it's a really important thing for all professional athletes to do, and it's something that I've really enjoyed actually, and I've gone out to all the state teams here in South Australia over the last 2 weeks. I think I presented maybe to 7 or 8 of the different boys and girls, and those are hopefully the players that are playing for Adelaide United, men's and women's, in the next 5-6 years. So it's pretty awesome to be able to go out there and teach them, and there's going to be plenty that don't make it as well, and I think the message is just as important for them to understand that, just because you don't make it right now doesn't mean you can't make it later on, and it doesn't mean you can't be successful in something else in life. So it's teaching them coping mechanisms, not just for on the field, but also off the field.
Yeah, Stefan, speaking of youth, you've played for the Socceroos at national youth teams, under 17s, 20s and 23s. Is it still a goal for you to become a Socceroo and be part of the squad that Graham Arnold is putting together?
Yeah, 100%. I think any player, any Australian player in the A-League should be aiming for that, no matter how young or how old. I think that's the pinnacle, to play for your country, to go to a World Cup. And for me, that's my aim. It was my aim last season. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And hopefully this season I can continue on, play really well, score some goals, and I guess catch the attention of Graham Arnold, because, being involved in the camp back in 2016, I think it was, against England, unfortunately, I didn't come on in that game, but that really drives me today to get back into that setup and to be with the best Australian players, and then also come up against, the best in the world with the other countries. So it's something for me that I've got as a goal, but I don't like to focus on that every day now, because, I can't always control that. So I just control what I can, and that's trying to be the best I can every single day at training, and hopefully the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. What's your prediction for the 2 matches against Oman and then Japan?
I think they'll win. The strangest thing is that I've seen on social media is people have complained maybe about some of the performances, but we've won. And years gone by, they complained that we were playing well and weren't winning. So it's hard to please everyone. But I think what Graham Arnold's done is he's instilled this belief within the players to go out there and win games. And, it's challenging. They're not playing at home. Even their home games are away from home. They're playing in tough conditions. The pitches aren't always great. You play against the likes of Japan, which is a great footballing country now. So it's going to be really tough, but I believe what he's doing from afar anyway looks like he's got them on the right pathway, and all the players have bought into it. And, we've got some great players, and I think the strongest thing Australia's always had is that team chemistry. So he's done an unbelievable job.
Stefan Mauk, I said it wrong, didn't I? Sorry. We have to leave it there, but I just want to say thank you for joining us today and talking to us. I think you're a fantastic ambassador for the game, and I really hope that more kids engage with you and connect with you, because I just think you're a terrific ambassador for the game. I wish you every success this season with Adelaide United, and hope you have a great season as a captain.
No worries. Thanks for chatting to me, guys. I've enjoyed it.
Have a speedy recovery too, Stefan. We have to see you on the pitch really soon.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.